We'll call the Environmental Services Committee meeting to order at 6 p.m. Yep. Okay. And then I'll turn it over to Pat.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and do the reports.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to present the annual reports for the three water systems and the sewage system, as well as look for an endorsement of our operational plan. So, there, okay. I'm hoping that everybody's gone through the reports. If not, you don't have to be an expert, but you do have to be aware so that you can make educated decisions based on what's in front of you. So a little bit of background with respect to the annual reports. The annual reports are made up of 4 different sections. Section 11 is what it is called the annual report, and it's from the Safe Drinking Water Act. And Schedule 22 is a summary report, and it is from the Reg 170-02. So we have the Act and then the Reg. And then from the Ontario Water Resources Act, we have another part of this report that is the raw water taking report, which used to be, if you're familiar with the drinking or the permit to take water. So, and then we have Section 12 of Reg 170 as well. So, and in summary, what the report is just a summary report, an annual report. It's the first part of the report. It gives you a brief description of your facilities, and then it'll break down into lab results, community complaints, a number of different aspects that we report on, AWQIs, which is adverse water quality incidents. And what I'll do is I'll just go through and highlight the major things that you should be aware of. And so I'll do the Cobden drinking water system first, and I can rhyme off all kinds of numbers and lab results, but it's not going to mean a whole lot to you. So basically, what I'll do is on page 3, and you can follow through with me, or you can just, it'll be fairly simple. You'll remember some of the things that I'm gonna present. So the very first thing that with the Cobden facility, and it's good information to know, is that the average day flow capacity that we ran this past year, 2014, was just below 44%. So you're at 44% capacity. Your peak day flow was almost 71%. So that tells you and tells me that, you know, there's lots of capacity with respect to this facility. Regulatory sample results. There's nothing. There was nothing really to be aware of. We take numerous samples continuously on a continuous basis with the analyzers, and grab samples, and they're all reported on. The one thing that you may see jump out at you is an inorganic parameter, and that is for sodium. And although the standard says sodium level of 20, the reg says a sodium level of 200, but because there's 2 different reporting requirements. One is for it does not exceed, and the other one is for a half MAC, which is the maximal allowable concentration, which is 200. Half max is half of that, but in this case, with respect to sodium, sodium's level is 20 because of it's a health risk to people that have high blood pressure and things like that. So our value was 20 or 18, sorry, and the reportable value is 20. So it wasn't reportable, but it was above the half max. So we put it in the report so that it, you know that it's close. And that's you don't have to report again for 5 years. So because there's nothing we can do about the sodium levels, right? The sodium levels is the sodium levels. That's we had 2 AWQIs, which is Adverse Water Quality Incident reports. And the first one was an effluent flow meter malfunction, which resulted in a high chlorine level at the plant. And the described measures taken to correct the failure, everything was dealt with in-house. All the reporting requirements were met. No non-compliance because of it. Reset the flow meter, and that's all documented. The second was for a total coliform of the treated water at the Cobden Water Treatment Plant. Corrective action there, we followed the standard, which is to take 2 sets of samples. Both came back fine. Did the reporting. Nothing to go forward on. We did have a MOE inspection. The thing to note about the MOE inspection was there was the rating of 96.95%. So that was pretty good. And subsequently this year we've had another one, and we're much better than that as well. So things are looking good there. The final thing that I'll point out on the Cobden report is at the back of the report there's a monthly report for water taking, and that's what is submitted to the ministry on a monthly basis, and it replaces our permit to take water, and that just tells you how much water we're taking in on a daily basis. And as per Section 12, we have to report that. So that's the Cobden drinking water system. Not a whole. There's a lot of information to take in, but the high points were all positive. So we'll go to the next one. We'll go to
Brad, if you just wait.
Sorry?
I think Councillor Jackson has a comment.
Sure.
I just have a question, 2 questions, I guess.
Yep.
One is with regards to this page. When there is a F in the column, what issue is that, or is it something that we should be aware of?
That is the half max and the MAC, what I was talking about,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
The maximum level is a non-compliance. The half MAC is just basically an indicator. So it's letting us know that we were halfway there,
Right.
and it's an indicator to keep our eye on it.
And the next question I have is with regards to lead testing.
Yep.
You don't have to do, not required this year?
No, reduced lead testing, yeah.
Okay.
Based on what was submitted and the results that were achieved, they reduced the level of lead testing that we had to do.
So we don't have to do any this year?
2014 we did samples. I'd have to check to see, but I think we are done. Yeah.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
Councillor Olmsted.
So, just regarding the inspection from the ministry, so it looked like the actions they required were more administrative in nature. So the 96.9% report Mark in the report, the only recommendations were administrative in
That's
nature.
right.
No recommendations for the plan.
No.
So that's a pretty good score then.
Yeah. And, I mean, these administrative type things are very, it's pretty tight. It's very, they're like, if initial's not in the right spot, it's, you know, but, I mean, that's how strict they are on doing these and how thorough the inspections are.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, then, if there any other questions, then we'll go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Same exact format for the Beachburg drinking water system. And I'll point out that the capacity there is at 54%. So we're still in pretty good shape there as far as capacity, and our peak day flow was 59.5%. So, you know, we don't see any problems or foresee any issues in the short term there. Then sodium as well is the half max. Not a concern, just something that we have to watch. Continuing to AWQIs, there was a equipment failure of a 24-volt power supply to the plant controls. So the measure to correct the failure, replace power supply was installed, and plant returned to normal operation. So there again, it's just a means of making sure that everybody, the ministry's aware of any little things that go on. It did trigger a adverse water quality incident, so everything was followed properly and no issues. With Beachburg, there's a section, as there is in all of them, mind you, summary of community complaints. So I just wanted to bring your attention to the fact that there was a complaint during hydrant flushing. During hydrant flushing in Beachburg, September 19th, the resident stated that the hose on his washing machine came apart. The basement had several inches of water on the floor. The resident wanted to know at what pressure did the high-lift pump. He was informed that the high-lift pump shut off at 70 psi. So basically everything within the distribution system was working as it should. And as far as that, Beachburg, there's nothing more that needs highlighting unless you have any questions.
Just one question.
Councilor Jackson.
With regards to the complaint, what action was taken? Was there anything that we were held liable for?
Nope.
Or it could have been something that their hose was old or?
Yeah. Yeah, so there was nothing that, we have a system, it's called OPEX, and basically what we do for every adverse water quality incident, any customer complaint, anything of that nature, health and safety incident, it's all documented in this database. And as part of the database, the operators, when they do get a phone call or a complaint is lodged, that starts this OPEX report. So all that is detailed, logged, detailed, and then entered into our OPEX system, and we follow up. I follow up with the operators, and there was no further action.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Johnson.
Brad, was the leak above or below the pressure reducing valve?
I don't know, I can't remember the details, but I can find out for you if it's,
I'm just interested. We used to have a lot of trouble getting water to the shower heads upstairs on Robertson Drive up on top of the hill. Would be odd if it was finally knocking hoses apart.
that has since been rectified.
Yeah.
There was a pressure regulating valve that wasn't operating properly. That happened this year, and when there was a fire in Beachburg, people complained that there was low pressure in that area, and so we checked it out and ran hydrants ourselves, and yes, indeed, there was low pressure, and we ended up there was a regulating valve that was problematic. It's been repaired, and now
there's only one regulating valve in town.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, that lasted quite a while before it gave trouble.
Yeah.
Did all right.
Yeah. So that's so now everything is
right on.
good to go.
Councillor McCoy, when you said that capacity of 54%, did you?
Yep.
Does that mean you could increase the population to use that on that, or?
Theoretically, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? If not, then Brad, you can continue.
Haley drinking water system, it's even quicker due to the fact that its size. The report is still the same size, however, it's quite a small system. We're running at 14% capacity there, and its peak day flow is 34%. So there's lots of yeah. And with the same with the other two systems, sodium was tested for, and we got a positive hit on sodium. But it was higher, it was 42. Again, nothing you can do with the sodium level other than medical officer health is involved at that point, and then the residents are, if anybody has a salt reduced diet or anything, they're informed of the fact that there's salt in that, right? And the AWQI was reflective of the sodium, so that's the only one that we did have in Haley was because of the sodium result. And that concludes the water. Any questions?
Go ahead, Councillor Olmsted.
Just a comment that we should probably be thanking former council for laying the foundation for development in our region, as Cobden's average usage is 44% of capacity, Beachburg 54% of capacity, and Haley's 14% of capacity. So we could almost double the size of our region.
Any other comments? If not, you can proceed then, Brad.
Okay, thank you. The Cobden Sewage Treatment Plant, its annual report is based not on the Safe Drinking Water Act. It's as a result of environmental certificate of approval, so your C of A. And your C of A outlines what you need to report on. And same thing, description of the facility, monitoring data, all captured, and some of the highlights or lowlights that and you just alluded to is the capacity. The sewage treatment plant is at 141% capacity on an average day. As high as 906%, excuse me, at a peak day flow. so there's some, you know, we're looking right now at what we can do to close up the infrastructure, but that's not going to buy what is required. So it is going to help, but it's not going to. So definitely looking, and the town has been looking at upgrading the sewage plant with environmental assessment, started the environmental assessment process. So that's in the works. But yes, we are over capacity. Operational problems, direct result of capacity issues. Every time it rains, we have a bypass, pretty much. Because of the limitations of the facility, the Ministry of Environment's notified. They know what we're up against. They know the history. There's we just notify and document and take samples, report, and cross our fingers for the next one. Right. The effluent objectives and limits, again, due to the fact that the plant is over capacity, difficult to meet some of the objectives. However, the facility puts out excellent numbers. When we have a consistent flow, even though it is high, we're still able to manage excellent numbers. You know, that's attributed to the guys down there, and we're still, I look at the results on a weekly basis, and I think that, you know, geez, you know, the numbers are very, very good compared to what they could be. So, and that too has a lot to be said about the actual processes down there. The extended aeration package plant, they're pretty bulletproof as far as from a process goes. Maintenance. The maintenance numbers don't show a lot in the report, and the reason for that is because our work order process is not completely fully been implemented. We're still tagging all the equipment, and that's where that number or those numbers come from, is directly spit out of our work order system. So that's really not reflective of what is getting done down there. So I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. And the same thing is reported twice as a environmental incident and a bypass, which they are both the same. They are bypasses, so that we had 3 bypasses due to heavy rain events. So again, everything has been looked after as far as reporting. No concerns as far as the ministry is concerned. And that the rest of the report is all the documentation, so all the numbers, the AWQ, or not AWQ, the non-compliance or non-conformance with the sewage bypasses that were sent into the ministry. That's
Councillor Jackson.
I have a couple questions. How was this spring with regards to the operational problems and corrective actions when you have, was there any heavy rainfall like last year, April 8th to April 22nd, there was a large overflow?
This year we had one.
Okay.
The snow went away really good.
Yeah.
You know, so we did have similar problems, but not we haven't experienced them like last year.
The other question I have is, you do spread sludge.
Yep.
Where is that sludge being spread currently?
Well, there's two different sites. Right now, we're not on the fields right now because of, we can't go on the fields until May the 1st, or whether we're able to get on them because of the condition of the field.
Right.
During the winter time, we're taking it to Almont. This year, we've, the towns, or the Whitewaters owns a field that's ready to go. So that's where we'll be taking it.
And where's that located?
On,
Where on Colesmith Road? Okay. Yep. And you said you have another one?
Yeah, well, actually, we're doing NASM plans right now for a number of different sites, so that we have them. They're not huge areas, so and we want more than one location just in case we run into a problem when we can't get there because of the field's wet or the other farmers that we're approaching because of crop rotations or different things like that. So we're trying to get as many as I can.
Right. The reason why I ask that is because where I used to live, we ran into an issue where the sludge was being spread on a field directly behind a subdivision. And while, you look at it from behind a subdivision, you go, oh, wow, that's really nice. Number one, it was tile drained. Number two, it was right next door to the subdivision. And number three, they were spreading in the wintertime. I looked out my bedroom window one day, and they were actually plowing off the field. So that's when I first noticed that they were actually spreading sludge, and got to the village of Cobden to stop it at that time, and I would hate to see that field being utilized again. And that was the field going up Mansell Hill Side Road, and it's behind the subdivision off of Springfield. And I know it was an approved site. When those sites come up, do the approval authority, does it come to council?
It'll be in the township's name.
But does the application process ever hit council's table?
It'll go through Steve, yeah.
If I may, I'm working on, well, actually, no, I have approval for it, for Rick Mackay. He's got a field we're going to spread on, and so I went through the process of getting it approved through OMAFRA, and I also have the one on Colesmith Road, which is on our own property. It's a very wet field, and we have approval for that as well through OMAFRA, and I'm hoping we can get on that field, but it may have to wait till late summer because it's so wet.
And I guess the question that I have with regards to the Blind Line Colesmith area is there is a municipal drain in that area. So I would caution you to not, if it is within the drainage area, certainly I don't know that it should be approved. I know with regards to that other subdivision, one where I used to live, there was a number of issues that notification actually went to the Township of Ross, and the address that they mailed the notification to was the Village of Cobden's address. So there was a number of issues with that. I just don't want to be in the same situation as a councillor, knowing that there are issues with different properties in the area. And I, as a councillor, would like to know where those areas are before they go, if it's a proposed one that's going to go for approval to the ministries, because there are some issues that can be related, and especially with property that is tile drained, they're not supposed to get. You're not supposed to spread sludge on tile drainage.
There is a municipal drain on Blind Line.
Yeah.
The NASM plan approval through OMAFRA, it takes into account setbacks, seasonal spreading, as you obviously had an issue with behind the subdivision. You know, I think if you're going by the rules, so to speak, you should be fine. With respect to cost, the municipality, the town of Cobden spends a lot of money to dispose of sludge in Almont.
Yep.
So if we can get on fields that are approved, it's a bonus.
Oh, I totally agree. There's just some fields are better than others.
Yes.
Through the Newfoundland Management
Yeah.
It's made that process an awful lot harder to get field licensed. It's a lot more time consuming, a lot more there's people involved as far as you have to ask all the people in the area. They're notified. There's soil sample results have to be taken.
Yeah. No, I understand the process. And just one other question is when the letter goes out to notify when there is a sewage bypass, I see that it just goes to Christine Fitzsimons for the Township of Whitewater Region. Does it go to council or does it go to Steve as well? And maybe I can suggest that, because if council's being liable for these issues, I would like to see that council be copied. I don't know if those letters get to the council table or not, and I would think that the council should be notified when that happens.
And that's strictly a...
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then I'll move on, and I have a motion here moved by Councillor Mackay, second by Reeve Miller. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of the Whitewater Region recommend that council accept and acknowledge the Drinking Water System Annual Report of Cobden, Beechburg, and Healy's, and the Cobden Water Pollution Control Plan Annual Report as prepared and submitted by Ontario Clean Water Agency. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
One more.
So, okay, you want to go ahead then, do your other report then?
The last thing is with respect to the operational plan for the drinking water system. Okay? And we need it endorsed by all the parties. So that would be council and the CAO clerk and Aqua ourselves. And the reason it is being endorsed is re-endorsed is because of the changes in council. So that information has changed within our document. This is a living document, and it's also being changed because our org chart has changed as well. So Andy now is, instead of Brian Simonson, who was prior to Andy, so the first report started off with Brian, now it's Andy. And basically that's it. And it can be re-endorsed as many times or as often as need be. And other than that, there's no change to the operational plan.
Councillor Olmsted.
So just a question on the report. So, are you guys centralized? So all three facilities, their operators would report in to one person that would then accumulate the data and chart it and whatever, and then put it in these reports? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, if you remember when we were here before and we explained who was who, and this is, we're a hub structure and a cluster, and in the hub, there's a cluster. And I'm the operations manager for this end of Renfrew County, the Ottawa Valley. So these facilities fall under my responsibility. These operators that are here now, Aqua employees, they answer to me, and I have a process tech in my office that all this information and data comes to herself and myself, and this is all gathered and done in
So
my
the
office.
process tech would then gather this information that's reported into her, and how many reports would she be responsible? I think it's a woman.
Yep.
How many reports
Brenda.
would she be responsible?
Annual report she'd have to do, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Jackson.
I like to ask lots of questions. When and who gets notified of an emergency? So when there's an emergency, do you notify Steve? Do you notify Christine?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
he's notified within...
Yeah. Typically, in the event of emergency, the guys are on pagers, and I'm depending on. So, if you want, you can go through one of the AWQIs, which would constitute an emergency.
Yeah, that's okay. The question was just just making sure that one of our staff was also notified.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And depending on the severity,
Yes.
could wait till the morning.
Right.
To
No,
15 hour
absolutely.
day.
Councillor McCaw.
I get a call in the middle of the night, but I decide whether we wake anybody up or not.
Okay. Mayor Johnson.
In an emergency, that would refer them or resort back to our emergency plan, which would mean that the mayor and the CAO and our, acronyms, I'm not good at them, would all be informed right away, first right off, and then we would...
And basically that I'd be, if it was an environmental thing with one of the facilities, we'd be going through the town, and then the town would decide.
I personally would like to see that go to the CAO and CC.
Yep.
Out. If it's an emergency that's not just daily operations.
Yeah, and there is a section in our emergency plan that deals with that and has all the Aqua information.
Yep.
I don't know it verbatim, but it certainly exists in our emergency response plan.
Yeah.
Other questions? Then I have a motion here, moved by Reeve Miller, second by Councillor Mackay. Be it resolved that the environmental services of the Township of Whitewater Region recommend that council endorse and approve the Ontario Clean Water Agency operating plan as prepared and submitted by Aqua. Discussion? If not, all in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you. Anytime, any questions? Just feel free, no problem.
Thank you very much, Brad.
My pleasure. Thanks. Have a great night.
Okay, and then we'll open. Okay. Okay. I have a motion here, moved by Reeve Miller, second by Councillor Mackay. Do we want to go?
Yeah, read it.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommend that council provide the requested letter of support for the proposed Whitewater Brewing Company project that BEI, owner of the Century Milling property on Highway 17, as well as water, sewer, and plant capacity, confirmation of the proposed project. Okay, I'll just turn that over then. Steve, would you like to comment on this?
Certainly I can. I was approached by Matt from BEI and asked for a letter of endorsement on behalf of the corporation for the project in general and plant capacities. So I have provided committee with 2 letters, one for each, and if they are suitable, acceptable, I will forward them.
Okay, any comments, discussion? Mayor Johnson? Okay. If there's no discussion then, I'll call for a vote on the motion. Do I need to rewrite the or to read it again, or everybody understands? Okay. I'll call for a vote if there's no discussion. All in favor? Motion is carried. Simple. Okay. Okay. Okay, everybody got a copy of 5B3. I think it was missing from your council pack. I think it was sent out. Did I steal yours?
It's the landfill operation and staffing report.
Okay, while you're reading the report, I have a motion here moved by Councillor Mackay, second by Reeve Miller. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommend that council include $22,000 for a part-time landfill operator in the waste site operation budget to allow the manager to spend a full work week in the office and be in the field only as needed from Monday to Friday. Discussion. Maybe I'll pass it over to Steve. You can comment.
Thank you, Chair. I have, was it just one motion for that, Christine? Okay, another recommendation I had, and perhaps it doesn't need a motion, was first to close the waste site on Mondays, period. And I've talked with our collection contractor, and that is not a problem. And I can contact other people who utilize the site, other contractors and organizations. And so that is step 1, close the site on Mondays. Step 2 is move the landfill operator, our current landfill operator, from back to Tuesday to Saturday. And step 3 would be that recommendation, or that motion.
Councillor Jackson.
So in this report, I have two financial analysis done. One is for $22,000 annually with no benefits. That would be a part-time person.
Correct.
That would be if you left the landfill site open on Monday.
No, if the landfill site closes on Mondays, we go back to a Tuesday to Saturday.
Yep.
For probably late spring, summer, early fall, our landfill operator takes 3-day weekends because he doesn't go on holidays.
Right.
So that would allow, I'm introducing somebody at 3 days a week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. That is really the only way that I can concentrate on administrative duties, because if that person does not work Tuesdays, then I'm back at the landfill 1 day a week, and that would be Tuesdays.
Right. And then the other amount for $36,000 would be
That's a full-time. Yeah.
So the difference really isn't a whole lot.
The problem with, sorry if I may continue, the problem with full-time is in the winter, in the dead of winter, I would be struggling to find work for that individual.
But perhaps some people can then take holidays.
Yes, they could.
Councillor McKay. Yeah, so you're going to be open Monday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday?
Open to the public Wednesday, Saturday, as we are now, but we will receive waste 5 days a week instead of 6.
Only the budget.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
Mayor Johnson.
I agree with Councillor Jackson. There's not a lot of difference in the money, and we need our managers to be managers. We don't need them in the field. That's just my comment.
Any other comments? Councillor Olmsted.
Yeah, just like your opinion about what would you like to see here?
Definitely close the waste site on Mondays, which is nothing more than me making a few phone calls and coordinating. Move my operator back to Tuesday to Saturday, which is very simple. And yeah, I could spend 5 days a week in the office and just keep up. So yeah, part-time help would be the way to go.
Councillor Jackson.
I think the biggest thing as well with regards to having 2 full-time people there is it was noted by MOE that you should have 2 people at the landfill site, correct? For safety concerns and...
Well, that was more my concern than MOE, but if there's waste entering your site, you have to have somebody supervising and dealing with that waste on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. And this would allow for people to take holidays. They are entitled to holidays. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to go for the full-time person and see how it fares out.
Any other questions? If not, I have one question. If it's full-time, and this will go to CIO, if it's a full-time operator and they're on staff, then that will include benefits as well.
Correct.
As the cost. So what would the benefit package in dollars, because you'd have to add that as well to the wage?
Treasurers in the room indicate that it's about 25%.
Yeah. So 25% of 36,000
is $9,000.
9,000. So it actually would be 45.
Correct.
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 Okay. So, but if it's part-time, then you do not pay benefits, right?
You still have to pay the EI portion and the CPP portion and the employer's health tax, so there's probably an extra 10 to 15% added on. The biggest costing comes from OHIP, not OHIP, but OMERS, as well as any medical benefits and life insurance benefits that an LTD, long-term disability benefits that are offered to full-time physicians.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Olmsted.
So, Steve, do you think it'd be beneficial if we started this as a part-time position with the opportunity to maybe make it into a full-time position?
Appreciating Councillor Jackson's comments and the mayor, I would actually rather prefer to start it as a part-time to see how it works. My fear is the winter, because right now it's ridiculous. Like most businesses, it's ridiculous how busy you are. But in the winter, I'm afraid I may not have enough work for that individual. So I would prefer to start it at part-time.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mayor Johnson.
In any business, you can hire full-time, so you've got full-time, and then when you get to a point in the winter, it's under the understanding there will be a layoff, things slow down. You lay off the gentleman or lady, whichever, and you bring them back in the spring, you give them notification. Sure. That's actually not a problem, I wouldn't think.
Councillor Jackson.
That's what I would suggest too, is go full-time seasonal, and then you're more apt to get somebody that's more qualified than others, and more apt to get somebody that's going to want to stay, with the possibility of going full-time. And I think, and then like Mayor Johnson said, come the winter months when you see that there is a decrease in, it's not productivity, but a decrease in need and requirement, then you can lay that person off and get them to come back in the spring. That's what I'd like to see is a full-time for that, and maybe even on call, so that if the person in the wintertime that's full-time currently wants to take a week's holidays, they are able to do that. So not a full-time year-round, but full-time seasonal.
Okay, I just want to comment, Steve, can you work that into your budget? Because it's it's a substantial increase.
I don't believe we've discussed the waste budget yet, so it's a matter of putting it in the budget for council's approval.
Okay, I just wanted to mention it has to somehow be brought in there. Okay, I'm going to, because I have here now an amendment to the motion, and I'm going to ask the mover and the seconder if it's okay with them, and I'll read the motion now. Be resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region recommends that council include budget of a full-time landfill, full-time seasonal landfill operator in the waste site operation budget to allow the manager to spend a full work week in the office and to be in the field only as needed from Monday to Friday. You've heard the motion. I'm going to ask the mover and the seconder if it's okay with the amendments. It is? Okay, they don't need to be initialed. Okay. Then any other questions? Then I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, And that will conclude the Environmental Services Committee meeting, and I'll turn it over to Economic Development and Reeve Miller.
Let me reload it. Put the screen down, Marcia, please.
Take me 2 minutes to clean up my stuff. You just go your, where, here, just call it to order. Okay. See the time too. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, there you go.
Presentation.
You're all set.
Just go,
We don't have a,
CI.
no,
Mark it, right?
green,
Okay. Okay. Just say you want to turn it over to Mark, right? Okay. I guess, she'll have, she's got some motions for you? I don't think there's any motions. Yes, there is. Yeah, she'll pass you, she'll pass those to you, okay? All right? Yep. Okay. Don't be afraid.
So what we think is fine.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break here before we start the next part of the economic development.